your take here is that, yes, we're perhaps pulling back on the day somewhat, NXP not a resounding feeling of optimism, but we're still near all-time highs and we've still got a $4 trillion Nvidia on our hands.
Yeah, good morning. Markets are definitely, the valuations are high. There's no slicing that in a different way. But I guess, you have to look at tech differently than we used to. So a lot of allocators and wealth advisors out there, we've been taught to look at tech as a growth sector. Perhaps it's more than that. So the AI component is definitely tech, but maybe there's also a quality factor there as well. Got healthy balance sheets, great cash flow, especially those mega companies, mega cap companies. It's also got a defensive sector characteristic as well. We learned that we cannot operate this economy and our society without tech infrastructure as well as software. So I think that when we're looking at tech, we have to look at it from multiple angles in order to perhaps try to explain some of this valuation. It's not just about AI froth, it's much more than that.
But what's been interesting is the AI winners have powered forward on 2025, and those winners have been deemed, well, the Metas of this world, the Nvidias of this world. Apple left for dust. In some ways, Alphabet has been a laggard too. How do we set up into Wednesday when we start to get a couple of those Mag 7 names?
Yeah, I think there's definitely a bifurcation in those Mag 7 names. And right now it looks like the people who have really invested and gone forward with AIs are definitely winning. Now, Alphabet, for example, will have different challenges, right? Not only do they have some legal challenges, but I don't know about you, but when I talk to my friends, they've stopped using Google as a search engine. They're using ChatGPT. And I know that's just a few people around me and perhaps you, but those things can actually catch up. And I know Gemini is improving, but I think that's a real competitor there. And so AI is going to be more important going forward for some of these Mag 7 names. And I wouldn't expect disappointing report from them, but certainly I think investors can read between the lines.
Anna, what's curious about this week is that on Wednesday, Alphabet and Tesla post their earnings results, right? Somewhat analogous companies, some differences. And on the same day, we'll hear from the president about his vision for AI and American AI. It's going to be a wild ride for investors this week, isn't it?
Well, anytime anyone from the government talks about technology and AI and even Bitcoin or blockchain, I get a little nervous because I think we have to tread very carefully here. We don't want to get in the way of innovation, and yet we want to protect consumers, right? So it's going to be it's going to be a balancing act for anybody from the government, from the White House, talking about AI and how America is going to be involved in the development of AI. I would go in with a little bit of a cautious view. And frankly, I'm expecting a lot of lofty statements, but the question always is, how does this actually translate down to the day-to-day and actual software and make difference in our productivity?
Let's bring it back to today's news. What did you learn about the near-term and quantifiable impact of tariffs? You had names like General Motors and NXP show us that actually something's happening here.
Yeah, I mean, something is happening there. We're talking about actual money, right? I mean, so for last week, if you think about the CPI and consumer sentiment, you didn't really see it, right? But you are seeing it in earnings. This is actual cash flow impacts. So I think this is going to trickle in as the quarter goes and give us a better view of exactly what areas of the economy are being impacted by tariffs, who is actually assuming some of those costs. Because GM actually came out and said, we don't want to pass down all the costs to the consumers. So it'll be interesting to see how those things get, I guess, diversified into the supply chain and how GM and other companies actually manage those challenges.
And going back to tariffs, tariffs is all about the geopolitics that is currently involved in technology investing. I think of the geopolitics between the US and China. I think of the latest news out of Microsoft blaming China for a hack. How much do you factor that into your current investment thesis? How much can you price that sort of geopolitics in?
Yeah, I mean, I never thought that this trade talk with China was going to be simple or smooth, right? And this is yet another twist in the plot. I would hold that August 1st deadline date really loosely in your hands. because it was April 1st and then or July 9th and then now it's August 1st. I think that the Trump administration, as well as China, I mean, they have a lot at stake here. So I don't think the deadline really matters. I think we're going to be negotiating until we actually get to a good place for both countries. And August 1st might come and go.